Welcome, everyone. I'm Jasmine with DNL Farm and Home, and super excited today to be joined by Dr. Karen Davison with Purina Animal Nutrition. This is part one of a three-part series that we've got lined up. We're going to talk about what's going on microscopically inside your horse's gut and how that affects them, and then how we can potentially help support their gut to support the overall health and well-being of your horse. Purina's got some really exciting research that they've been doing and a super exciting new product coming out in June, which we'll get there. But again, this three-part series will kind of give a lot of the background and the history and the research behind what's coming out. So today we're going to talk more about the microbiome of your horse and what that even means and why that's important. So thank you, Dr. Karen Davison, for being here with us. I will turn it over to you.
Thanks, Jasmine. And thanks everybody for joining us. I hope you find a nugget of information here that might be helpful for you. As Jasmine said, we've broken this into 3 short segments, so not to overwhelm you, but to just try to educate you and get everybody on the same page when it comes to the microbiome and what's going on inside your horse and why that matters to you and your horse. So the thing we do know is that every horse has a unique microbiome that it's unique to them as your fingerprint is to you. So in the last several years, the information, the things we know about the microbiome have advanced significantly, but it's still a very new science. And there's a lot we don't know about the microorganisms that are inside your horse and what they're doing and how to more affect them. So we've been doing a lot of research, as Jasmine said, trying to get a better understanding of what that unique microbiome looks like and how we might affect that. So just to clear up for everybody, what is a microbiome? The microbiome is the genetic material of microorganisms that are in the hindgut of the horse. That's the hindgut microbiome. Interesting little side note is these are all microorganisms, and the word microbiome is reflecting the DNA. It tells you who all is there. Doesn't necessarily tell you what everybody's doing. But within just the last few years, we used to say regularly that we don't even know who 96% of those microbes are. So it's hard to know what to do to impact this in any real way. What are we doing and who's in there? What are they doing? And how do we affect them? And so we do focus on the hindgut microbiome. There are microbiomes all over your horse's body, all over your body. Again, there's these microbes are plentiful. They're everywhere, and they actually outnumber us. So that's a little bit of a sobering thing to think about. But the hindgut of the horse is really the place where the majority of the microbes that affect that horse's health and well-being reside. And so that's where we focus. So when we're looking at the equine microbiome, the research would suggest that the diet definitely affects the microbial ecology of who's there and what's going on in that digestive tract. Some research from a few years ago showed that the microbiome of feral horses, like the Mustangs out on the high desert or whatever, that those non-domesticated horses have a more diverse microbiome than our domesticated horses do. And that the factors that affect that microbial diversity and the microbiome itself are things like the age of the horse, the housing, the diet composition, veterinary health care, and medication. And so it kind of makes sense that, microbes are really prolific. If their environment is good and is favorable for their development and there's enough for those microbes to eat, they multiply really fast and really readily. And so when you change the diet, you change the substrate, if you will, or what those microbes can eat. And you know that those horses out in the wild have a much more diverse diet than the horses that we have that are domesticated. Because we know we're all trained that consistency is key when we're feeding our horses. And so the diet that we feed makes a more consistent, less diverse microbiome. So a lot of stuff going on in there, a lot of things for us to learn about. And the reason that we're looking at the microbiome so much has to do primarily or originally with digestion in the horse. And just to give you a little background and orientation there, the digestive tract of the horse is complicated. It's about 100 foot long, has about 180 quart volume. And I think sometimes when you think about that and you see this picture, the way it's depicted here, where it's how it lays in the horse's system, as opposed to some of those linear graphics we see sometimes when we look up the horse's digestive tract. It always surprises me when I look at this picture. I'm surprised more things don't get stuck in there than they do. But the thing that is important about the horse's digestion is in that foregut, which is the stomach and small intestine. The digestion is primarily from the acid bath of the stomach and then enzymes in the small intestine. And that's digestion of the most of what you hope your concentrate feeds in your supplements. You need those to be digested in that foregut because that is the primary site of nutrient absorption in that small intestine. So we need the horse to have a part of their diet that's readily available, easy to digest, and absorb those nutrients that are needed in that small intestine. And keep in mind, less than 30% of the forage is digested in this foregut. And when you get to the hindgut, then that's where the microbiome really comes into play. There are microbes in the foregut, but not nearly to the extent that there is in the hindgut. And that's the primary site of forage digestion. Greater than 70% of the forage digestion happens back there. And that's because those microbes have enzymes and the ability to actually break down the cellulose and the fibers in those forages that the horse themselves don't have. So what gets digested in the hindgut is the forage, and then anything not digested in the foregut. And then there's some absorption of water and phosphorus and things. But that's why we focus on the microbes, is because horses eat forage, and that's who digests that forage primarily, is those microbes in that hindgut. So when you think about feeding your horse and you think I've got feed or a concentrate feed, maybe some supplements, some hay, and of course water, the question is a little bit, are you feeding your horse or are you feeding the microbes? And honestly, part of what we feed the horse is hopefully, again, the concentrate and the supplements. You hope those are digested, they're good quality, and they're digested in the small intestine and absorbed there. But the forage, again, is primarily going to feed the bugs, who in turn help us feed the horse. And the things that we get from the microbes is energy. That's why how your horse gets energy out of forage, is because the microbial fermentation produces those volatile fatty acids that horses can absorb and use for primarily for maintenance energy, but they can use for some other energy as well. Microbes also produce some B vitamins, vitamin K, and some immune factors. And I can tell you early on, a lot of our work on microbiome and thinking about the microbiome has been around digestion and how do you improve digestion of what we feed the horses by improving the microbes. But as we look further into this whole microbiome science, what we're finding is that microbes impact the gastrointestinal health of the horse, just overall comfort, the performance of the horse. There's some microbe impact on hoof health, metabolic status of your horses. There's even effect on cognitive health. Some of you may have heard about like a gut-brain axis where the microbes are affecting your cognition. They know that in humans, and it could be possible in horses too, and overall growth and development. So we're learning that microbes impact way more than just digestion of forages. They actually have some direct impact on the health and well-being of your horse. So I've said that we don't know a lot about it, and it's a new science. And so Purina has spent the last decade really digging into the microbiome. Some of you listening may have participated in when we started soliciting. We crowdsourced fecal samples from across the country, where we took those samples, and thankfully, based on everybody's input, we got samples from all 50 states. And we took those samples, we sequenced the DNA so we could understand the fecal microbiome of those horses. Those of you who sent in those samples also completed a survey that told us about the age and the diet and how how's your horse, any history of medical issues, medications, dewormings, all the things that might impact the microbiome. And we've plugged all that in with our microbiome scientists and our data analytics. And we have some really cool stuff that we've learned. And you can go on our website and learn a little bit more about that project, and know that we are really excited that we have now been able to map out what is the core microbiome of the horse, what would be natural and normal in a horse. And then we can also look and see how individual horses compare with that, and look at the information in the surveys and figure out why might that be different. And then the next step eventually will be, how do we affect that, and how do we change that? So lots of cool stuff, lots of cool science developing around the area of the microbiome, but lots more to be learned yet. And we continue to look into that. But as we've been working on it for this length of time, I'm excited to let you know that there is some cool stuff coming that's a result of all this science and all this investigation that we've been doing. And so keep an eye out, and definitely check in with D&L, because coming in June, we'll have some really exciting things to show you about the equine microbiome. Thank you for listening. Awesome. Yeah, we'll move on to the next one at another time.
Yes, thank you so much, Karen. That's super interesting, and we're definitely excited to learn more about everything that you guys are doing at Purina. And as I mentioned, we're super excited for this product as well. So definitely keep your eye out for the next couple in this series. And if you have more questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us at D&L, and we'd be happy to help get those answered for you. So fantastic. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.